Hey guys, it's me, and I'm going to be talking about a few things, primarily to do with my choice of camera system and rigs and follow focuses and kind of, what you need to do with a DSLR to get from run and gun, which they are fantastic for just on their own little tiny form factor, and doing something a little more serious that requires enhancements, for lack of a better way to put it. And fortunately, the market has delivered quite well on building out your DSLR. So, let me start. I hope I'm in focus. I'm shooting actually on my Lumix GH4 backup camera. And here I've got my current GH4, which is a 4K Panasonic Lumix. I went with Lumix for a couple of reasons. The first one being that the panties, I've always liked the rendering of color. You know, they're very natural looking camera right out of the box. If you're not going to shoot log, that kind of thing, and you want to be able to just bring it in and have it look pretty damn good, the standard setting is quite nice. But more than that, being the Micro Third format, it does have a sensor chip that's just shy of a Super 35, so a little bit smaller than the Sony A7 chip, and certainly both of them being smaller than the full-frame Canon or the likes. But what really is impressive is the incredibly short flange distance. Flange distance being the amount of depth, however much it may be, between the mount for the lens and the sensor element. And that is a very important number, or distance, because that's going to determine whether you're capable of going all the way to infinity focus or not. It's got to be, that glass has to be an exact distance, the flange distance. The beauty with the Micro Four Thirds, and the Sony system as well, is that it's a very, very short flange. And what that allows you to do is adapt just about any lens in the world. I haven't gotten CCTV lenses yet to work, but I think you can if you're willing to deal with the vignetting and fall off. But really, just about any lens. This is a Nikkor, which is the system that I really have embraced since I was a teenager. But this is a Nikkor here, and as you can see, you put the adapter on, and that brings the flange distance out to what the Nikon spec was. Same thing if you had a Canon lens or something like that. They're different distances, different depths of adapter. But they're killer, because I can even take something like this 80-year-old, no, that's the field for it, but this 80-year-old weird little German 50mm, which was for a Praktica, and I can actually get a Praktica adapter, and when I want that kind of aberration, poor chromatic performance, vintage sort of look, or I'm shooting for black and white, this thing, there isn't a filter that looks like this. It just doesn't exist. Beyond that, there's other little things you can do. This happens to have my Metabones adapter on it. The Metabones is nice because it does give you a wider angle of view out of the lens, so instead of my 50 being the equivalent of 135mm, it's really about the equivalent of a 75, give or take. It's a nice thing. It also allows for clickless stopping if you set the lens up accordingly, which is also a really great boon. And, it's a nice adapter. It has a little piece of glass in the back that actually does enhance the sharpness by utilizing more of the center area of the lens, rather than going all the way out to your corners where you start to lose resolution and all that sort of stuff. So, cool thing. You can also get I've got a standard one as well and all that. But anyway, the thing about it, and I like the phrase that my friend Alexander uses, is micro jitter. And I remember distinctly, being the ancient fellow that I am, is sitting there with a 40-pound Betacam SP camcorder on my shoulder and thinking I was a god in terms of handheld camera work. It wasn't me. I wasn't that special, no. It was the fact that there's this 40-pound mass being spread out over your shoulder and your arm, and you're standing there and your whole body is acting sort of as the anchor to this. And because it's massive, you know, a big massive pendulum doesn't go like this, it goes yer, 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 yer. That's how it works, and you take advantage of that with mass. And what your cage, in this instance, really affords you is a degree of heft, a degree, you know, the ability, you grab the side, you grab the top, however you want to do it, you get a much smoother handheld kind of look. In addition to that, I mean, obviously, being able to walk around low angle like this, or maybe like this, is great. You know, it just, you'll get something you can't get otherwise. And this is what I realized while shooting with Alexander, and very quickly went out, and this is a very budget rig, you know, Chinese stuff, but it's solid. It's solid. The same thing with the follow focus. I thought, as long as I'm going to get a rig and it's going to have some rails, let's spend really all of 60 bucks, basic stuff, but it's got mark points that you can hit with a dry erase. Suddenly, instead of kind of wandering a lens from one focus point to another, which is what I do all too often, and all too often overshoot or undershoot, or, you know, no. The follow focus, you can mark off points on the floor, you can set it up, and you've got this control. And beyond that, it's an extraordinarily fine degree of control. You know, some of these Nikkor lenses are pretty short throw barrels, so to be able to get more out of it, more sort of micro focus ability, is huge. I think this will turn out to be one of the best investments I've ever made, other than maybe my Ronin S, which I'll get into another time, which is a whole nother mindset. But anyway, that's my take on you know, building out a rig. Again, this wasn't a lot. I think the whole rig was 115 bucks or so, $120, and you know, I don't expect it to withstand the rigors of every day, but it certainly is great in that, you know, you can start doing things like adding another toy that I really enjoy. But you go and, you know, you go and slap a Lumix. Yes, here's the endorsement. But, you know, you put that on there, and you can expand out. I could put my Blackmagic monitor on here. I mean, if I really wanted to set it up, and I don't know if I want to do handheld that way, it'd be a little hefty, but it certainly would be a nice thing. You know, put on a tripod, you've got everything on your camera, and you're looking great, and you're shooting great as a result, too. So that's my take on things. And where I'm at right now in terms of, well, I won't call it gear envy, gear desire. So listen, you guys, hope everyone's staying healthy and safe. Take care.